We do. I say it all the time. Business sometimes is too serious.
It's way too serious.
And it's just life.
Yeah,
right?
It's just life.
Isn't it fun though working with people who are like funny, who are humorous, like they just joke about a lot? I find them.
Yeah, but there's
it's like no.
there's a ceiling for that though, Naomi.
Okay.
I got him.
You
this
could go
week.
over the top.
I got
That's
him.
true.
I got him this week.
You did?
Yes.
What happened?
Chad crossed the ceiling. He went over the line. So it was Monday, right?
Monday.
So Monday, Chad was in, Matt was in, Jonathan was in, another guy of ours.
I still have the humor of a
our-
14-year-old boy.
Our sales team was in. So Chad decided when me and Jonathan were out of the room that he would get this spray out and spray it on a rag and throw it in the trash can. And you got to tell me what this stuff was called. It was called like ass something.
Liquid ass.
Liquid ass.
To be exact.
I've heard of this.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
See?
not nice.
See,
it's not
Naomi
nice.
smiles.
This
She's
was
like,
this was the worst thing I have smelled in years.
And you didn't know where it was coming from.
I walked up on Chad and I'm like, okay, Chad's had some issues. Chad has literally shit his pants.
Yeah.
Is what I thought. So I'm like, what in the hell is this? And Chad's like, his eyes are already teared up. I guess he
laughing
smelt of it too long.
I was laughing so hard.
I'm in it, and she's already regretting it.
She's like,
I
why?
know. I'm like, well, how do I get out of Henderson? I don't even know where I am.
Why did I agree to the Liquid Ass podcast?
So anyways, long story short, Chad smelt up the whole room in there. And I had to go get spray the whole room. We had to raise the windows,
clean the trash can.
clean the trash can because he wanted to throw the rag and the trash can in here. So
Fart jokes are the best. I don't know. I think.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Right.
Thank
yeah,
you.
I'm with you on that.
Naomi and I have a
I'm with
similar
you.
sense of humor.
fart jokes are the best when they don't smell that bad.
Yeah, surely they kind of leave the room. But
It's
it
pretty.
didn't.
It's pretty bad. I have it upstairs. If you want to,
If you want some,
you could take it since
Take
you're
it
gonna,
with you to go.
Since you're going to Uber back,
that'd be great. Yeah,
you could
leave
just
it for the Uber
spritz
driver.
it in the Uber as you're walking out.
Why do I only have 1 star? Right? Like, why did I get a 1-star review?
You could just
Thanks.
you could just spritz it in the Uber as you're
Spritz it.
as you're leaving.
If you left that in an Uber, you would be banned.
They
I
would
feel like
cancel.
you would.
all
Yeah.
ban
They
you.
would cancel you.
Yeah. Even these nice people from Nashville, they're not going to be that
Imagine
nice.
doing that on an airplane.
They would be like, that lady with that proper accent. Shit in the back of my car.
That reminds me of the Seinfeld episode. I don't know if you saw that, where the guy, Jerry, ended up selling his car, trying to sell it because it stunk so bad.
No, I've not.
Yeah,
seen
it's a
that.
great episode. You should watch it. Y'all ready to get started?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I thought we'd already started.
That's the pointless banter.
I don't like that.
Keeps us
I'm
going.
gonna
Naomi.
leave that in.
Yeah, welcome, Naomi. Pleasure having you on the NexGen podcast today. It's Kent, right?
Thank you, Jason.
Naomi
Yes,
Kent.
it is. Yep. hmm
Pleasure having you from Florida.
Thank you.
By
Yeah.
way of the UK.
Correct. Yeah.
Many years ago or sooner than later?
It'll be 20 years next year. So yeah, I've been in the
Okay.
United States for 20 years.
Okay.
Well, welcome.
Thank you.
You know,
Yeah, welcome. So you've been in Florida how many years now?
Florida, probably around 3 to 4. I was sort of a COVID export from Chicago. And I
okay.
lived in Chicago before that, and then New York City before that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I got to ask you, what's your favorite spot of those three?
Oh, I mean, it's like anywhere. I don't know if you've lived in other cities before, but
no, Naomi, I'm a Middle Tennessee guy.
Chad's lived on the
Yeah.
same 10 acres his whole life.
Yeah, basically.
well, if you've lived on a different acre,
Yeah.
you might understand. So there's places that are really fun and good for that time, for that purpose.
Yeah.
And then you sort of decide you need to move on and do something else. And
Right.
I love New York City, but you get tired in a big city like that.
Uh-huh.
And then people often ask me, like, why, what are you doing in Naples? And I also lived in London. So London, New York, Chicago, Naples. And it is a smaller town, but I'm actually enjoying it. So I really enjoy
Change of
the
pace, change of life.
yeah,
We all have our seasons in our life, right? Ready for changes.
Exactly. I think that's what it is.
But there is something about the big city, the energy, right, that you get when you live in a big city, but you can only handle that for so long, to your point.
Right. Well,
Right.
I've been to Nashville before a couple of times, and it was more of the party trip. This is more
Yeah.
of the business trip.
Yeah.
But I sort of been walking around Nashville, around the town, and it's got a really nice balance of, city feel, but it's got those small streets. It doesn't feel like a big
It doesn't
ugly
feel like New
city.
York.
Yeah.
It's a nice looking city, and there's a good vibe about it. So I like it.
Nashville has changed dramatically in 10 years, though, right, Chad? So if you would have come, did you come to Nashville 10 years ago, or was
Probably within the last 10 years, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, a while ago.
you've probably seen the changes then? It's grown
Mm.
dramatically in 10 years, ever since the flood of 2011.
You should have came 30 years ago.
Oh, really?
It was even
Small, sleepy town, yeah.
it
Really?
was
Yeah.
it's a lot different.
So Naomi approached me on LinkedIn, right? Or we chatted on LinkedIn about what she does now. She runs a board group company. Tell me about that a little bit. What is the company name? How long have you been doing it?
Yes.
And you seem very eager to get young professionals or owners of company CEOs to get started earlier in their life to become board members, right? You see that as a huge advantage.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so I've got my own business called the Boardroom Company. Just as a question, do you guys serve on any boards? Have you been on any boards?
So I have not, Chad.
I have not, but
You've been asked like 10 times, right?
no, I don't know if 10 times. I'm very familiar though. My wife is in finance, and she has been on some charitable boards, and she currently serves on a local power company's board now. So
Nice.
very familiar.
Yeah, nice. Well,
Yeah.
I think for a lot of people, it's a great place to start, right, in their career. I think my first nonprofit board was when I was 28 years old. So you can start pretty young on a nonprofit, but it teaches you amazing skills you probably wouldn't learn in a corporate or in an office environment.
Right.
So things like, collaborating with lots of different people. On a board, you might be involved in the succession of a new, what we call a CEO or an executive director. You'll be involved in reviewing financial reports, right? And if you think about it, most people, that's not something they're, generally
Not doing it every day.
doing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I feel like it's a great way to build skills, build relationships too. So I think the first board I was on when I was 28, it was a board in New York. And some of the people that are on that board, I still know today, and they've gone on to do, amazing things. They're great people. So it's great for building networks as well. And the networks are not your normal networks, right? The networks you would usually be around.
They're more two-way, right?
Yeah,
Versus
exactly.
you're begging for something from somebody.
Right.
I think
yeah,
we
there's a
start to
bit of that.
value that the older we get. I know I have, right? I think when you're young in your career, you're networking with the same people that do the same thing as you.
Yeah,
Similar
probably.
people that do the same
Probably.
thing. As you get older, at least now the way I think is I need to branch outside that specific title or that industry and go further out for sure.
It's maybe more selfish too when you're younger, maybe, and you're not on a board. You're like trying to network and align with people that can give,
Yeah.
versus you giving.
Right.
more.
Yep.
Yeah, a young professional doesn't see things the same way that
No,
44-year-old Chad does, right?
no, I'm way more.
Or maybe 50-year-old Chad.
I'm not 50.
You'll see things a little differently when you're
I'm
50.
44.
And a half.
No, 44.
Oh,
44.
just 44.
He just
Okay,
turned
good.
44,
Just
right?
turned February.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I'm,
Really half.
don't let the gray fool
So you got started with boards, Naomi, when you were 28?
Yeah,
Is that what you
so
said?
I joined a company that was building biographical profiles on board members when I was like 22 years old. So I've been,
Okay.
working with boards of directors for a really long time. And then I thought, I'll get on a board. Why don't I do it? I see what it's like. And it was great for my career. It was great for my network. And another really interesting thing, and Nashville is definitely one of these. I was out to dinner last night with a group of people, and everyone sat on some sort of community board. And they said that it was such a small network in Nashville that you just needed to sit on one or two nonprofits, and you kind of would get to know a lot of people.
I would say that's probably right.
Yeah, so if you're looking for that community engagement and you're looking to extend your network, I think it's really, really good. So yeah, even in a bigger city, it can be really helpful. So
Absolutely. So the company that you're running and operating today has been in existence for how many years now?
So, well, I just started my own brand.
You just started.
Last
Okay.
year, yeah.
Okay.
But I've
Good
been
for you.
working-
Congratulations.
Thank you. Well, that's what I was saying about I might want to put a podcast studio in my home.
Yeah.
Because I think it's time, right?
It's a good
time
way to
for those
spread
things.
the gospel.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah.
it. And and then before that, I was working for about 2 or 3 companies where I was doing this. So I've been doing it for a while. I just didn't have my own brand, so now I do.
Okay. Where did the boardroom, where did your passion come from in getting into that? Were you kind of just thrown into the fire with that, or did you see it from the outside looking in and say, I want to do that?
Well, there was a little bit of both. I think I got a job with that company that taught me a lot of what I know today. I was there for 12 years at a company called BoardX, and so I learned a lot there. But then I also showed sort of like an interest in people's careers.
Yeah.
I like seeing people succeed. And so I enjoy advising people on how to best kind of navigate their career. And it may be through boards, right? And in the case of your wife, it's a corporate board, which is phenomenal. And that you can grow, and maybe she can retire early one day, right? And just serve on boards.
I'm hoping we both can, Naomi.
Well, maybe she can, and then you can retire,
Yeah,
right?
I hitched my horse to that wagon years ago.
You're just hoping.
You're not letting go.
Call that
letting
an
go.
Not let
investment.
go.
Yeah, I made an investment young,
Yeah.
bought low, you know.
I like the horse analogies that we're doing down here as well. This is very cool. This is very cool. We would not do that in the UK.
Yeah,
That's
you wouldn't
definitely
have a
not
horse
British
analogy?
thing. No, well, we might. We talk about horse racing. There's
Horse
a lot of horse
racing.
racing in England.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Horse racing's different here. There's, you know,
I'm sure.
yeah.
What part of England did you grow up in?
Yeah, so the south of England, and then also in London. So,
Okay.
and I went to a couple of boarding schools, actually, British boarding schools. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Did you go to school? You grew up and went to school in England?
No, actually. So
Okay.
the longer story, but I was actually born in Asia. Lived in Indonesia for a couple of years as a kid, and then Thailand, and then moved back to the UK a little bit later on, and then boarding school. My father worked for a hotel chain, so he was moving around all the time, all over the
Naomi,
world.
I was born in Knoxville, Tennessee,
Okay.
and then moved to Gallatin, Tennessee.
Same area. Not
So
much difference.
We had a
culturally.
similar path, you and I.
We still like fart jokes, though.
Yeah.
So
So we align there.
That's one of Matt's favorite places, right? Thailand. We've been talking about that recently. He visited a few years back. So, but you were there as a young child.
I was a kid. Yeah.
Okay. Do you remember much about living there as
Yeah,
a
I
kid?
do. I remember there was an earthquake once. We were on the 19th floor of a skyscraper, and there was an earthquake, and the hotel had just been built, and everyone was like,
Yeah, no thank you.
"I hope this doesn't."
Hope it passed codes, right?
But actually, because there are so many earthquakes in that region, buildings are built for that. So so we were okay. That building was okay, but a lot of other places were not okay. So I just remember that. And then I think there was an earthquake recently there, right?
Yeah.
There was.
Yeah,
yeah.
Myanmar.
Yeah. So yes, I guess I don't know when that was. 1980 something. It must have been. I don't know when that was when I lived there, but and then so then came back to the UK. I went to college in the UK.
What age was it you went back to the UK?
I was 8.
Okay. I was just curious because you still have the thick accent, but you were a
I
kid
don't have
in
the Thai
Thailand.
accent. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I was.
Well, her parents were from the
Her
UK.
parents
Yeah,
were
my
from there.
parents are both British. My
Okay.
parents are
Yeah.
both British, and so it's funny though. So the accent. Obviously, I think you guys have the accent, but
I don't have an accent. Mine-
okay, whatever. But no, I actually, if I go back to the UK now, because I've been gone for so long, some people are like, "Where are you from?" They're not quite sure. So
Yeah.
it's kind of morphed. Sometimes
You know, I kind of thought when I first talked to you, maybe Australia,
Yeah,
or
well-
South Africa.
Well, if you think about the British and the Americans, both went to Australia and
Yeah.
then Australia.
Ma-
So
yeah.
maybe this is
That's the.
this is the reason why they speak like that.
I have a friend or an acquaintance from a long time ago that was from the South Side, and he would say that he was a Cockney.
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 Yes, from
Is
the
that
east side of London.
East Side. Okay.
Yeah, so you know they have Cockney rhyming slang. Have you heard of this?
I probably have, but tell
Yeah.
me more.
So Cockney rhyming slang it's a slang that is spoken by very few people, and it's almost like rapping as you speak.
Really?
And some things are known, and slang, and others they kind of make up as they go along. So I'll give you an example. I might say to you, "Oh, would you like to go to the bar? We'll go have a couple of Britneys." Britney Spears sounds like beers. So a couple of Britneys would be a couple of beers.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's that kind of thing. And then they make it
I
up
could
as they
get
go
down
along.
with that language.
Yeah, you want a couple of Britneys later on.
Well, if you want a couple Britneys here in Nashville, it's probably not beers you're after. It's probably Britney. It's probably an actual Britney that you're going to. She's probably at a bachelorette party.
Okay.
Right. Well, there's a lot of
Yeah.
bachelorette parties.
We get it, Chad.
Yeah, she's probably at a bachelorette party. Yeah.
There's been a huge boom, right, of tourism here. I
Did
feel
you?
like it.
Yeah. Did you see all of the bachelorette parties?
I didn't go down Broadway, but you can
Okay.
hear the squealing from,
It's
from anywhere in Nashville.
It is unbelievable.
It is.
That Nashville has become that. Like, if you would, I don't think anybody in Nashville 20 years ago had the bachelorette capital on their bingo card.
Yeah, it's an interesting audience. It's an interesting tourism. Yeah.
It's very interesting.
Yeah. Dublin is a bit like that, if you've ever been to Dublin.
Really?
And Prague, although I think Prague is more for the guys.
Okay, so Dublin would be the Nashville.
Yeah.
Okay.
What's would you say, Naomi, that UK has a fascination with Nashville?
Absolutely, yeah.
Really?
No, I think here's the interesting thing about people who are in the UK who have probably never been outside of the UK. I think that it's difficult to understand how large the United States is, I think, for most people. And so often when they think of the USA, they kind of group everything together.
We all have cowboy hats.
Yeah, everyone wears a cowboy hat, or there's big buildings everywhere, and, or it's, countryside. Like it's a little unclear where everything is.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But I would say that everyone thinks of music. They probably don't think of cowboy hats. I don't know, but definitely the music side of it, which.
Yeah,
it should.
You go anywhere.
Yeah,
it's
for sure.
there's and do you have a lot of artists that come here to record? Is that also
Nashville has become kind of the outside of
country
LA,
music?
not just country music. So there's like there's a lot of rock bands that are recording here now.
Okay.
A lot of Christian artists are recording in Nashville. So it's not just the country western music.
I think it's two things, Chad and Naomi. I think it's one, it's the recording studios.
Yeah.
There's probably more recording studios in Nashville than any other city.
On every street corner.
And then number two, it's musicians.
Yeah.
So your typical musician, single star that's looking to record an album, where do they want to go to get the best lead guitarist, drummer, bass guitarist? You go here.
Yeah.
Right? Because every musician in town is good.
Yeah, there's session players like that. All they do is go and play for records. Like they'll never go on tour. They'll never do any of that. They just go like a 9-to-5 type job. Go downtown Nashville and record a drum.
So
session.
do people, if you're good at music, do you kind of come here? Is it like
For
the
sure.
Hollywood for actors?
For sure.
You'd sort of come
Absolutely.
and live here.
Yeah. How an actor would think that they need to move to LA or New York, musicians move to Nashville.
It's got really expensive, right? Like it's not cheap to live here anymore.
Crazy
Yes.
expensive compared to what it used to be. Yeah.
You go out to eat in Nashville, and I would say half of the servers
Oh yeah.
are probably musicians or
Musician, comedian, like
trying to get a record deal.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But no, the music scene here has been tremendous. But there's a crossover of genres right now too,
For
right?
sure.
Or has been. That's the big.
It's kind of a
thing.
melting. Country music has kind of. We're gonna have our country music podcast again. It's kind of evolved. Like it continually evolves. Like it's kind of cyclical. It goes like from traditional what some people might think is old school country to like very pop based, R&B based, and then it'll kind of get more traditional again. And then there's rappers are recording with country artists on
Post
songs.
Malone, Beyonce, right? I mean, they're
Post Malone has a country album now, so
yeah. I mean, that's the big push, right? Which has been really, long story short, has been really good for Nashville.
yeah,
Nashville has blown up because of that.
Contrary to like what a lot would, you got some country music purists that are going to say, that's not country music, but then in the beginning, Johnny Cash was kind of looked down upon because he wasn't country enough when he came on the music scene. He was too rock and roll for country. Elvis Presley, who I don't think any of us in this room would think would be a hard rock artist, right? He was too rock and roll for country music.
Now, Elvis Presley today would be a country musician more than likely.
Yeah, I could my mother-in-law, she hates when I say this kind of stuff, but there's so many artists that if they recorded today, there's not a genre for them, so they would have to be country artists. Like Bob Seger today is a country artist.
All your Southern rock groups.
Yeah, all the Allman Brothers, Leonard Skinner, Eric Clapton is probably a country artist in 2025. I don't know that you could put some of his stuff. So it's neat what's happening.
Yeah, well, the UK, we have a lot of bands that come out of the
sure.
UK too.
Yeah.
And I think people often ask me, they're like, it's just such a tiny island with not that many people. How do you get great music? And I think there are a lot of theories about it. The weather's not very good in England, right? Generally, or the UK just in general. And so the theory is that there's really nothing else to do other than
sit in your
jam.
room and play guitar.
And it's a little depressing out, so it creates a lot of emotion. So we're going to write some songs. So I don't know, but you guys have great weather here, so it doesn't make any sense.
It's I saw somewhere where Ed Sheeran is working on a country album.
That doesn't surprise me. Yeah.
And UK has the studios, right? A ton of recording studios.
Abbey Road, right?
Yeah, I think it's a cultural thing. I think the bad weather and everything is a bit of a joke, but I think that it is a cultural thing. I think if you're around it and you're listening to it and you have access to it, I think it just generates talent, right?
Yeah,
you can have talent anywhere, but it definitely helps.
UK's definitely got its own vibe, its own sound. Found interesting. I went to Jamaica recently and kind of got on this Bob Marley kick going to Jamaica, but I learned on this Bob Marley tour that we did that Bob Marley went to the UK to record his albums, which I didn't know that.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he would fly to the UK, record his albums there because of the studios that they had and everything. But of course, in the 70s, that was the place to be, right? With music.
I didn't know that.
Fun
now
fact. Fun fact. Bob Marley
got to tune
recorded
in
his
to the
albums
NexGen
in the UK.
podcast to find these type of things.
So, Naomi, tell us back to the subject at hand, the boardroom, right?
Yeah. We'll bounce around
going
a
off
lot.
piste.
Yeah.
I know there's a lot of value, again, to the young professional or maybe even, the 40, 50-year-old, right? That's, at the last leg of their career and wanting to make an impact in other places. What other values do you see in joining the board group? And then what kind of board groups should one look at depending on the stage of their career?
Well, so for a lot of people, it's sort of like a retirement plan. So they want to serve on boards about 5 to 10 years before they retire so that they can maybe retire early and just serve on boards. For some people, it's intellectual challenge.
And why, I'm sorry to cut you off, back to that, why is that, and is that changing? Why is that they would want to start that at retirement? What's they're ready to give back at that time? Is that generally the consensus?
Yeah, I think we're healthier and living longer, right? And we're sort of more active than our grandparents or great grandparents. And so I think that when some people are forced into retirement, right, at 60, 62, 65, and they've got so much to give, and they don't want to just sit around and do nothing, right? Yeah. And I have this survey that I give out to all my clients, like an assessment. I ask them, why do you want to be on a board? And the number one answer is purpose. They want purpose. And so I think when you retire and life shouldn't stop there, right? Yeah. Their thought is, I want to give back. I want to help other people grow their business. And also I want to help people avoid the landmines, right? I might have made a mistake in my career. I want to help someone avoid that. So there's that. There's also a sense of people wanting to still be involved in something. When you're on a board, there are different groups, right? You guys work together. I'm sure you guys are having a great time working together. That's a great feeling. People want that, right? They want to be in a room with smart people making good decisions, and maybe some disagreements, but effectively you're around a boardroom table with fascinating people that you look up to.
So it's maybe less of a pressure environment and just a good culture overall.
That's right, and it can be really, people say to me the best boards they've ever been on are because of the people. So it's not a product or a service or anything else. It's like I just really enjoy. It's the intellectual challenge, really it is. And so for a lot of the people I work for, although I work with, it's not always coming easy, right? I mean, your wife, I don't know how she got that board, but maybe somebody approached her.
Yes.
So she has a great reputation. She was in the right circles. Somebody noticed her and thought, she's the missing piece to a board.
Yep.
We need her, right? So that's a typical situation, but where it doesn't happen, people are getting toward that retirement age and thinking, okay, how do I make this happen? Mm-hmm. And so it's a combination of, I think, three things. It's preparation, so being prepared, knowing where you're going, what you're doing. Positioning, having the right brand, knowing what a board member even does, right? And being able to speak to that. And then the third one is really action, like taking action. Because people sit around going, oh, I'd like to be on a board, or I'd like to do a podcast, right? Like whatever it might be. But you have to take action with these things. And so what I do and how I work with people is I help to prepare and position them, and then I give them a nudge so that they can take a bit of action. So it's all about motivating people to get started and to get moving.
Yeah, because it could be scary for some people.
Very, yeah.
Right?
Very,
I don't see myself on a board, right? So...
Well, they don't want to fail. Like failure when you're at the top of your game doesn't feel good at all,
No.
right? So,
do you help place people on boards?
So I have introduced people to companies, and I'm working currently with a couple of businesses that are looking to build a board. One is building it from scratch. One is adding 3 people to the board. So I do, but not. I mean, it has to be a good fit. You know. A board role, it's not like, hey, we just have this seat here. Would you like to come and sit in it? You know, they actually need someone with M&A experience or CEO experience, or like there has to be a list of things that you bring.
Not just dashing good looks.
No, so maybe that's why
Maybe that's why I'm not
board.
Check.
Maybe that's why
I mean, I don't know. Maybe there's some.
Maybe there's
Chad,
one
at
for
least
me.
you know yourself.
There's one for me.
What is it when they say you have like preferential treatment when you're good looking? Pretty privileged. Pretty privileged.
I've never been pretty privileged. I don't think that's ever happened.
Yeah, boardrooms.
I'd like to
that's
see
not
what
really
that'd be
the
like.
case. I don't think that's part of the.
It's not part of a board. That's not what they look at. They're like, oh look, this guy. He's got nice teeth.
He'll look good on the website.
That's right. Maybe that's a thing, you know?
Well, actually saying that, so not quite that, but
kinda.
LinkedIn, it's so important to have, the right branding and to have the right photograph. And so many people who are, again, at the top of their game, they've been running businesses. Their photo might have been taken 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Or their photo might be them on their, favorite vacation with their family. And
With their
that's
shirt
fine.
off and
Yeah, I mean, that's fine for being a CEO at a company because no one's really looking. But the minute someone's saying, oh, should we qualify this person to be on our board? Then, the sunglasses and everything, it just looks a little strange.
Yeah.
So I help with the branding too.
That was what I was going to ask. Do you help with that?
Absolutely.
Image is
I think
key,
it's
right?
important.
And I would assume a lot of that carries over from LinkedIn to maybe your Facebooks and your Instagrams because they're going to check you out there too, right?
Well, if you want to join a publicly traded company board, they will do every sort of due diligence on you. They will dig through everything. They'll even check that the school you went to, you did actually go there. Yeah, and you did graduate from there. They'll call up the school and say, did so-and-so. So if anyone here's lied about their degree, and they didn't quite finish the last exam, but you still write it on your resume.
They'll find out.
Forget being on a
So
board.
so like the show Suits, the lawyer, that's not going to happen in this scenario.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I always started to put that on my LinkedIn, like, law school at Harvard or something, and just see where it went.
I wonder if they would contact you and say, hey, we don't
Hey,
see you on the list
We
here.
don't. I wonder how long you could get by. I may make that change
Well, people do that.
just
People,
to see.
people do that all the time, I've noticed on LinkedIn, but saying they work for companies they don't work at.
Really?
Yeah. They've done it with us.
Because I mean, what's the?
It's a scam.
I have seen that.
Yeah.
There have been people that like. It looks like we've had more like former employees.
Oh, they put NexGen
Yeah.
as a
Yes.
role?
Yeah.
That's where they used to work. And
Because
it's
they
like,
came on your podcast?
No, it's just like
Just random.
find you, and they're like,
Yeah,
hey.
because you can technically on LinkedIn say you worked at any company.
Yeah.
I don't think so. Who checks that? I guess is
So
the point.
it pings the company, and the company will be able to see. But imagine you had, 3,000 employees. Are you going to go looking for? I don't know.
Are you going to go looking for Naomi that said she was?
Yeah, probably not.
No.
Probably
Yeah.
not. But yeah, I think people can elaborate, embellish and
Yeah,
all of that
for
good
sure.
stuff. And often you see someone's LinkedIn, you go, wow, that guy's really important. And
yeah.
then you meet them.
But are they? Yeah.
But I think actually the opposite happens more with my clients is that you would look at the LinkedIn, it looks terrible.
I love
And you meet them
this.
and you're like, you're a rock star. What is this? This doesn't represent you in any way.
I love that though.
That's not a bad thing at all.
No, I think that is such an endearing trait when somebody's more than what social
Yeah.
media portrays them to be.
Yeah.
I think
They
you
gotta
could
level
fit
up.
into that mold, Chad.
Well, thank you, Jason. I appreciate that. I try to. I don't want. I want to like
See the LinkedIn. Can we bring it up? I
under
don't
the.
know.
I'm like under the radar.
Check your
like,
LinkedIn. Oh, no LinkedIn.
No, I do have LinkedIn.
Oh, okay.
I didn't have Facebook until Jason made me get it.
Now he loves it.
No, I
It's his
don't.
top app.
I still don't like Facebook. Are you a Facebooker, Naomi?
No, I'm not. But Facebook has its place. Right. I
It
think
does,
if you're selling to it has a huge mom audience, millennial audience who are, huge spenders of all kind, buyers of all kinds of products. So
If I were a lawn service or like someone selling to like residential
Consumers.
to consumer,
Yeah.
I think Facebook is a must.
have
Like
you been
you-
on the groups? Have you seen those groups?
There are some good groups.
Yeah, they're pretty interesting ones.
Then there's
Yeah.
Then there's some others. There's some neighborhood groups and things.
Oh,
that
I'm
are
sure.
Like I'm like
Nosy
golly.
neighbor group. Yeah.
Oh yeah, the HOA groups and stuff.
Is your power out?
Yeah.
Yes. Everybody's power went out. It was a tornado. It was a tornado.
We're gonna get on Chad's rants now.
Everybody's power went out.
So are you on a Facebook group? No.
Yeah.
You
I
are?
am.
Okay, that one?
That's a good one.
He's the most active member, actually.
I'm not.
He's
I'm
pretending.
the most non-commenter on Facebook. If I comment
Chad
something
types out so many messages and deletes them.
and then go, I better not say that. I'll get banned.
Very
you can do-
therapeutic.
Yeah.
You can do anonymous as well now. So you can actually go
You
on
can.
there. I think there
Yes.
are groups where you can go and you can just comment anonymously. So you can say really nasty things.
Most
and no
people
one will
do
know it's
that
you.
on
And just let it go. Just
All
let
that
it
pent
out.
up frustration.
Yeah, just let it out.
Let it out in that Facebook group.
Yeah.
So Naomi, the community versus civic boards. Can you talk about that a little bit? What the main difference of those are and why you would look at either or?
Yeah, so there are different types of not-for-profit boards, and when I talk to a lot of people, I say, hey, don't just think about them as charities,
Right.
Like dogs and cats and saving them, or homeless people, or something related to the community. There are also industry associations, so you have things like the American Marketing Association. You have professional associations, so you've got CFO networks, CEO networks, right? You've got professional groups, golf clubs, right? So not-for-profit, people generally think, oh, charity, but there are all sorts of different types. And if you think about a golf club, let's say it was a golf club, right? If you got on their board, it would probably put you in a really good position for networking, right?
For sure,
You would be
yeah.
knowing more people, and maybe you'd be spending more time at that golf club. So that builds your network. And let's say it was an industry association, again, American Marketing, Association. They have annual conferences and meetings and things. You might speak at one of those events, right? So in terms of your own career path, it can actually help to build your brand and build your career on some of these different types of nonprofits. So I always like to share all the different types. You've got religious groups, you've got, I mean, there's everything. And here in Nashville, there's a lot of government ones too.
Yeah.
So you can get to know local, government officials and things like that. So what I generally advise people to do is, what is your brand? Find an organization that fits with your brand. Number two, make sure the cause is something you care about, like the baby pandas, do I really want to
Do I really like baby pandas?
Yeah, exactly. Have I
Yeah.
ever seen one? Right?
Yeah,
Like,
not
they're
even-
here in Nashville.
I don't even know a baby panda.
They're so cute, though.
They kind of are, yeah. Anyway, and then the third one is who's on the board.
Yeah.
Like, who
Yeah.
are the other people? Because if you're sitting around a boardroom table and no one is a corporate person, or no one is like you, or no one is, 10 steps ahead of you, you don't want to be the smartest person in the
Yeah.
room there. So you want to be learning. So that's the reason why there's a lot of different options that you can choose. It's not one dimensional, like, do I want to get a nonprofit or not? And then another thing to throw out there, and I don't know if your wife has voiced anything that's been going on with her, but some nonprofits can be a lot of work and a lot of headache. And
Yeah.
you don't want to waste, sometimes you have to do what you got to do, but if you can avoid, disorganized nonprofits, it's going to be a lot easier for you.
Are you typically signing up for a period of time? Like you get on a board, you're like, this is not the right place for me. Are you stuck with it for a year or a certain period
Usually
of time?
it's an annual term,
Annual term, okay.
or 2-year term sometimes, and
Yeah.
so you can kind of stick it out for the first year. And you've got HOA boards. I don't know if you ever served on an HOA board. Yeah, okay.
No.
Chad
No.
would be the perfect person for that.
Chad would not be the perfect person.
No, those are, that's a lot of real estate law, and
Yeah.
those can be quite challenging too.
You're worried
so-
about your neighbor's grass being tall.
How tall is it? We've
Yeah.
measured it.
How tall is the grass exactly?
Right. So there's a lot of variety there, and I think people don't realize it. They sometimes throw themselves into these things without thinking through, is this actually good for my career? And it can be. It can actually help you grow in your career, or it can just be a big time waste.
Be a
and
drain.
And a money drain, exactly.
And then corporate boards, who is corporate boards suited for generally? And
It's generally going to be people who have managed P&Ls, people who are strategic. I would say title VP level of a big company and up. Of a small to medium-sized company, it would be probably C-suite. If you look at the stats, CEO title and CFO title, and especially former CEO, former CFO, those are probably the most sought after people on boards, because they've kind of been there and done it, right? And they can act as more of a mentor, and they know what these CEOs are worrying about. But you have other C-suite titles that are also often quite visible on boards as well.
is from a board standpoint in general, any publicly traded company generally has a board. Is that
They do, yeah. They have to
Is
have
that factual?
one. Every nonprofit has to have one too.
in every
To be
nonprofit?
a
Okay.
501c3. Yeah.
So private companies in general, totally up to their discretion. But are you seeing a lot of private companies with boards?
So on the smaller end, and sometimes medium size, they can have what's called an advisory board, which is a non-fiduciary board. They can't vote, they can't fire the CEO, they can't, they're just there to advise, but they call themselves an advisory board. That's sometimes a good place to start if you want to get experience. Then if an investor gets involved, so if you're a family-owned business, you might decide to get a board because you want to just make sure everything's sort of going in the right direction, but some don't. If an investor comes in, like a PE firm or any kind of large corporate investor, you're going to need a board, because they're going to want to sit on that board, and they're going to want to be just managing.
They want to say.
Right, and they want you to report to them and to show the numbers and to have strategic discussions about what's next. And so, it depends. But as companies grow, they definitely need something more formal.
Depending on the company size, is the board larger, more folks, or is it typically the same?
It's not always, yeah. I mean, I've seen a non-profit with 45 people on their board.
Wow.
But they're all donors.
Yeah.
Right. So this is a revenue generating.
So you want them involved,
sponsorship.
and
Right. So when you have 45 people showing up to a board meeting on a Zoom, you can imagine how many people are checked out of that, right? So it's not always an active board, to your point.
Yeah.
But I've seen those, and then I've seen on the low end, 2 or 3 people who are maybe the CEO and then an independent person and an investor or something like that. Publicly traded companies tend to have on the, let's say, outside board, because you've got people who are inside the CEO, they sit on the board, and then people from independent, they're outside. Normally outside, it's around 6 to 8 people on average. And then usually it's just the CEO, but it can be a CFO as well in the USA.
I got to ask. That back. I was on a board.
You were?
I just remembered.
You forgot?
On
what was it?
A baseball nonprofit.
Okay.
Yeah, for like a organization.
I was asked to be on a board a few years ago by a local nonprofit, but at the time I was like, I don't know, I was busy with work, growing the company, and I thought in the back of my head that it would be too much commitment, right? Or
you should have done it.
I wasn't aware of the commitment that it would take, right? So I kind of got scared of going forward with it because I thought it would take me away too much.
It can be.
Yeah.
And by the way, so many of my clients, after like working with them,
they're like, oh yeah, I forgot.
Yeah. Well, I used to present to this huge corporate board 5-6 years ago.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, that's helpful. We need that.
Yeah, we should have done that a year ago. Yeah.
But yeah, you forget all the things that you've done, and sometimes they don't really register as big things, but it depends where you're going next, right? Depends what you're trying to do.
That's right.
So
I can definitely see the value. I mean, to your point, networking and the folks that are on the board, it could be huge for you and growing your brand and what you do. So,
well, it can also be where your client base is too, right?
Yeah.
So let's say you're in the construction industry. You may want to sit on the board of one of these government land, development, divisions, and so there's all sorts of reasons why you might want to partner, right, with some of these organizations to help get legislation pulled through, or policies, or whatever. So there's lots of
absolutely.
reasons.
You had I think a Disney example from a corporate board standpoint, right? What was
yeah.
that about?
Yeah, so I don't know if you heard, in the last few years, Disney's had a little bit of ups and downs on their board, and it's a very classic situation. There are lots of case studies on boards and their impact, but for Disney, first of all, Bob Iger, who is the CEO, he said, I've been here so long, I want to retire, I'm out, right? So they said, okay, no problem, we're going to bring in somebody to be the CEO.
Yeah.
And so the board would sit around and go, okay, who do we need? And often, and this is often what happens with boards, is they go, okay, well, Bob Iger was good. Let's get someone that was all the things he was not.
Right.
And so I'm not saying all the things, but some of the things that he was not. So they brought in the new CEO. And then Disney started to show some declines, right? And so a major investor who, it's an asset manager, right? Like it's someone who owns a lot of stock, stepped in and was like, hey, what's going on? Why are the numbers down?
Yeah. Give me another Bob.
Right, exactly. And so said, hey, we want this guy out. We think the CEO is the problem. And we also think a couple of your board members are a problem. So we want you out as well. So they sort of started, calling the shots.
Yeah.
And the board, then the investor said, I want to sit on the board, and cause a lot of problems, right? You can imagine if the major investor sits on the board. They bring Bob Iger back. Yeah. They bring him back.
The company did a lot better, right? Or
they did
their profits boosted up, their stock
did.
went up when Bob came back.
Yeah. But then the Disney movie came out recently. The Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs came out recently,
right.
And so there was a huge PR crisis going on, right, with that one. And so a lot of people were, is that the board's role? Is it the board's role to change the CEO? Yes. But is it the board's role to advise on how the company should be, what their product should be? Yeah, and what stance they should take, with their content and who their audience is. And so boards, they sort of walk a very fine line between their real role, which is to select the CEO, and it is to throw them out if they're no good.
Right.
And then also then being blamed for everything that goes wrong in the company. So if you read it, there's a lot of, hey, the board didn't do this and the board didn't do that. But, they meet once a quarter.
Yeah.
How much?
But they're so powerful.
They are, yeah.
Right? I mean, they hold the keys to the organization. If they can hire and fire a CEO.
Absolutely.
Extreme power. One of the most prime examples of that would be late 70s, early 80s when Steve Jobs got fired, right, from the board. I don't know if you've,
Correct.
if
Yeah,
you've
the
read
board-
the
the
book.
board got rid of
He
him.
was the CEO at the time, right? He was the creator of the company,
Mm-hmm.
the reason why the company existed,
Oh.
and he gets fired by the board. I just think that was crazy.
Well, you
know?
imagine you're a founder, you built your company, and then you're getting so big and so successful that you're going to bring on a board, which is a huge deal.
Yes.
And,
And
then
then
they
they
end up
fire
firing
you.
you. Yeah,
Yeah.
a few years later. They're
And
like,
then
"Right,
the
you're out."
company went to,
Tanks.
and then they brought him back,
They're like, oh crap, go get that guy back.
which I think was like a 5-7 year period for Steve Jobs because he
I think
created
I'm
another
too-
company.
I think I would be too spiteful.
Yeah,
When they
but-
come back to get me.
Dang, no.
But
I'd
you're
be like,
always,
man.
you're always going to see. I mean, for him,
I guess
Apple
it was
was always
his
his
love.
baby.
It was his love.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he always wanted to go back.
Yeah, well, it worked.
Yeah.
But
Wouldn't you
board,
hate
board
to be-
members have to like they have to follow a lot of regulation in these
Yeah.
public companies. A lot
Yeah.
of regulation, a lot of rules. There's rules around who can be on an audit committee, which basically audits the financials of the firm. And so they're trying to avoid mistakes, right? But companies do make mistakes, right? It's just natural.
Absolutely.
But, and sometimes they fire the wrong person. It happens. I'm sure we've all seen it.
Poor Jobs. Got fired.
Well, the board
Yeah.
members are pointing fingers
I
at
know.
who
Could you
voted and who didn't, right?
Could you
At that
imagine
point.
if been being on that board that fired Jobs? Like once Apple did its success return
Yeah.
and you were sitting on that board when you fired the guy.
Yeah.
Well,
I feel
when Steve Jobs came back, I think he
Yeah.
got rid of 2 or 3 of the board members.
It was like,
The
hey,
same kind of
you gotta
scenario.
go, you gotta go, you gotta go.
Yeah.
Well, there's all kinds of rules as well around age,
Yeah.
age limits of board members, term limits.
Yeah.
But then there's Warren Buffett, who basically nobody questions it.
Yeah, just let him go.
Wall Street are like, what?
Just
Nah,
let him
That
go.
doesn't matter.
Whatever he does.
But you're 73, you've got to leave.
Yeah.
So yeah, but certain people you will especially if they're founders of businesses like Warren Buffett is at Berkshire Hathaway. So
How young is too young to look at becoming a board member?
so
If I'm fresh out of college, too young?
yeah, well, think about it this. I think it's good to get governance experience. And
Yeah.
You can get that with not-for-profits, right, when you're very early on. And there are actually something called junior boards, too, of non-profits. So you can have a big non-profit with a board of people who are, donating millions of dollars. And then you can have what's called a junior board. A board that I'm on has a junior board, and it's made up of younger people who, I don't know, they want to do events. It's more of an events
Yeah.
kind of committee. It's people who want to generate a lot of activity with that age group. So you can get involved with that. And then when you get into your sort of 30s and 40s, you should think about advising businesses, like advisory boards, or even just advising a friend, right, and their business, and starting
Yeah.
to get into the groove of advising, not doing, because that's the biggest difference between what a board member does and what an executive does. Is one is governing, right? The board governs, and the CEO goes and does the work, and you don't really want to overstep that mark. But the average age of a board member of a corporation, well, let's premise that, of a publicly traded company, is around 60, 62. So, yeah. It's
That's
pretty
the average age.
Correct, of a
Okay.
public company.
Okay.
But private companies, I would say they probably skew early 50s and then all the way up. So you can have a
Yeah.
variety of ages. But I think there is a change happening. And I think because of the advances in technology and how technology is such an important piece of business, those ages have definitely dropped where, they're bringing in people who have more technical
Yeah.
knowledge perhaps as
Well, I
well.
know Chad and myself, we're starting to see folks our age in C-level roles,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, for sure.
So, I mean, when we started our career, it was the typical 60-year-old, right? But now we're seeing mid-40s in
Yeah.
those C-level roles.
But do they have a podcast? You know what I mean?
I don't think they do.
There you
know,
go.
but they should be
Winning.
on as a guest,
You
right?
guys are winning.
But yeah, well, we're trying.
We're trying to
trying.
put our technology to
Playing-
work,
Not
right?
Playing
everyone
the
has
game.
to be on a board.
Playing the game.
So,
Not
so,
everyone.
so the young, so you think, it sounds like you wholeheartedly think that a young person getting on an advisory council role, board role if they can, it's going to put them ahead faster.
I
Would
think it builds confidence, it builds networks, you build skills on a board that you would not learn in a job, in a role in a company. even an HOA board, you've still got to look at the financials and, the sprinkler, right? Like how much does the sprinkler cost? Like if you're in a program manager or a director of marketing or a director of, or you're in a tech role, when are you ever going to be exposed to that, right? So it really builds confidence in people, and I think it puts them in a position. Also, I think it's quite a positive brand for people in their companies. So you can talk about it. You can maybe help the company maybe able to raise money for some of the things you're doing. I know I ran marathons and I raised money. I even did a bungee jump, I think, and I raised money for a non-profit. So you
bungee jumped?
And I went backwards.
Off a bridge?
Yeah, that one in Canada. It's like the tallest one.
Did you really?
In the North America, yeah. I went
Not
backwards
this guy.
because I couldn't go
I need to see that
forwards.
on video.
I have it. I have it. I do it. It's on YouTube.
Was that your biggest fear of doing something
I had
like
never
that?
done it before, and I thought it would be quite like an accomplishment for me to go up there. So I literally just went up to
Naomi,
Canada. Yeah.
I've never been attacked by a lion. I don't want to do that either.
I'll give a lot of money though to watch you. How much money can I raise?
No, Naomi's like, well, I'd never jumped off a bridge, and I thought, hey,
Lion's Den for a minute. How much money will you give me?
I don't know.
That's one way to raise money.
Oh,
But no, I mean, there's all sorts of things you can do for non-profits. It's not like you don't have to always open up your own wallet. So.
Yeah.
And we had friends who, there were people in New York, they would go and serve behind a bar. They would ask the bar, hey, can I serve? And any tips I get, it'll go toward the
Toward
thing.
my nonprofit.
So all their friends would come down, and it was
that's
a bit
cool.
of fun.
Yeah.
It was a bit of fun. So, it can be social. It can raise awareness for a particular cause that you're, concerned about. It can give you speaking opportunities, networks, you name it. So, I think it's really good for people, and it's also, it teaches you that collaboration that you see happening in a meeting. So you and I might disagree, but we have to come to a conclusion that is that benefits the organization, not us. Yeah. So we have to sort of put our own egos to one side. We have to put our own agendas to one side, and we have to really think what's the best for this organization. And by the way, there's a lot of fraud going on boards and companies and non-profits too. A lot of fraud. So you have to kind of look out for that and make sure that's not happening. So,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Well, you got me fired up, ready to go.
Which non-profit are you going to join, Jason?
Come on.
Which
what
one
board are we going to join, Chad?
Me?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what. I don't know.
You could form your own board. Look at this.
I'll sit down with Naomi and she'll advise me on who I should.
Yeah.
I could see you doing a non-profit thing.
Yeah, I could.
Or like baseball committee board or something like that,
I probably don't want to do that at this point.
It's worth a thought. It's worth thinking about. Again, it's cause, brand, and people. Cause, brand, and people. Always think about where what's good for you in your career. Where do you want to be in 10 years? And sitting around a room with certain titles or people from an industry might be helpful.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I can see the benefit for sure. Well, it's been great having you on,
Yeah, I've
Naomi.
enjoyed it.
Thank you for coming to Nashville and sitting down with us.
Thank you for having me. By the way, I just want to say everyone is very welcoming here. Like I said, I had dinner with a group last night, and everyone was just so nice. And somebody gave me a ride home and then gave me a tour, like on the way.
Really?
Like, that's the Batman building or something.
We got to show that off.
And then they told me it was also called Nash Vegas in certain areas. And so...
they call it that.
Yeah, so anyway, you guys are very hospitable. Thank you.
But you didn't get any time on Broadway yet.
I might skip that. I've been down there before.
Okay.
I know what's going on down there. So.
I was going to say, Naomi's got a pedal tavern.
That's tonight.
booked.
So she's leaving tomorrow. Broadway's tonight.
Yeah, she's got a pedal tavern booked, and you're
Pedal
going to
tavern.
Yeah.
Is that where
Have you
they're
seen
on the
those?
bus and they're pedaling and they're drinking at the same time?
Yeah, and then you got to go
There's
and
lots of squealing.
go. Yes, you got to woo. You got to say woo real loud.
Lots.
Woo. Yeah, the woo woo girls. That's what. Yeah.
So every episode, Naomi, we do a rapid fire section at the end. We'll ask you a few questions. Just fire off an answer.
Let's go.
Be quick.
Rapid-ish.
Rapid-ish.
Depending on your answer, because sometimes your answers are like really cool and we want to know more.
Okay.
So
Absolutely.
Okay.
All right. Chad, you want to get us started?
Yeah. Biscuit or biscuit?
Biscuit or biscuit.
Yeah.
So
Because you
well,
people from the UK
Yeah,
are
so
like,
so
yeah.
a biscuit is a cookie.
yeah.
And it
We
can
have,
also
like-
be a cookie.
But we have like biscuits.
I know, we don't have that.
So which one would
Do
you
you know
like?
what crumpet is?
A crumpet.
Oh, I've heard of that. Yeah.
A crumpet is a...
Crumpet is it's like a round sort of a breaded thing, and it has little holes in, and you put
Okay.
butter and jam.
Okay,
You
that-
don't
I
really have them here. Like it's not. Haven't seen a crumpet,
Mm-hmm.
or you might find it in a specialty store. But yeah, crumpets.
So you would pick crumpet over biscuit or biscuit?
Correct. Yeah. No, I eat biscuits.
Biscuits, which one?
And try to
Southern
cut down on the
biscuits?
old biscuits, but
You-
your biscuit or my biscuit?
Yeah.
Yours.
Oh, okay.
You'd rather
Yeah.
have the biscuit biscuit?
Yeah. Which one would you pick?
I don't know which biscuit we're talking about now.
Yeah, you gotta
so
pick one.
confused.
You gotta
okay,
pick
well,
one.
cookies. I like cookies with
Okay.
chocolate chip.
Cookies.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have you had a Southern biscuit? Like a Southern made sausage and biscuit?
I
you know what I'm
I've
saying?
had like a chicken
Biscuit
and
gravy?
biscuits.
A chicken and
and
biscuit. Okay,
biscuits
okay.
with
Yeah.
gravy. Yes.
Okay.
Very
Okay.
good. Yeah. Excellent. There's a lot of fried food here.
There
There's
is,
a lot of fried.
yeah, there is a lot of fried food. There is this is the rapid-ish, right? There is this whole, it's like, I get reels on YouTube where I guess it's some kids from the UK and they are feeding them American foods.
They don't know what it is.
It
They're
is
like,
so
"What is
good.
this?"
It is like, I've killed so much time watching these kids, like, you know, they've had fried chicken and they're like dipping it in, and they're like talking about how, oh my goodness, this is amazing.
It's the best food they've ever had.
Why is this not in my life? It's pretty funny.
I just watched one where they were trying Culver's cheese curds for the first time.
Okay, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Like melted their brain.
Yeah, and it was like
They called
I
them
mean, like,
vegetarian chicken nuggets.
yeah, like sodas and stuff, like some of that kind of stuff that,
When I was young and in England, there was very little American food, or at least the Brits hadn't kind of brought in American
Yes.
food. And now, I mean, tater tots, I'd never even heard of a tater tot 20 years ago when I moved here. Like,
And they're
what
there
is that?
now.
I think you can get them, yeah, but it's also novelty. It's like, ooh, a tater tot, and
Yeah.
that's a novelty thing. It's
Yeah.
not a regular thing. So
UK biscuits versus you would pick UK biscuits.
yeah, I actually like UK biscuits. They're
Okay.
pretty good. They're not too sweet. Yeah,
Okay.
there can be some very sugary ones.
All right. So mine is going to be Beatles or the Rolling Stones.
Oof. I'd probably say Rolling Stones, but my parents would have said the Beatles.
Beatles, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Both great bands, though.
Yeah.
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 Since you have spent some time in the South a little bit, tea or tea?
Oh, actually, I like your tea now.
Really?
But the sweetened
Sweet
is
tea?
a bit much. That's a bit much. Yeah,
It's
I
a
go
little
for the
bit of
unsweetened.
sugar or unsweetened.
I do unsweetened.
Okay.
Okay.
But,
It's hard to
But
get.
iced.
You can still get
that's
unsweet tea
just-
here.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
true. But if you have to ask for it.
You have to
if
say
you say
unsweet.
tea, they bring the sweetened
Sweet,
stuff.
yeah.
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 Then don't try a McDonald's sweet tea. It's going to be way too sweet for you.
Oh,
Yeah.
gosh.
I don't know the last time I had sweet tea, but it's like a, you know.
Well, this is also a myth abroad, right? People think that all Americans eat this kind of food all the time.
All the
And
time.
then when you come here and you're like, yeah, it's a specialty food.
Yeah.
It's a,
Yeah.
well, for some of us, not maybe all of us, but
Can't have it all the time.
yeah, exactly. And you
Yeah.
have to just watch what you eat. But I think that's
If
the
not,
case.
we would all be fat.
Exactly.
True.
I mean, we would. Like if you ate,
Yeah. Well, that's what I mean. But they think we just eat
Yeah.
that food all the time.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, that's not what I eat anyway. But
I like it.
Football or football?
God, you guys are giving me this the same word every time. This is.
We
Okay.
planned
UK
this.
football, English football, or American
So
football?
American football, yeah, American football. So
Really?
I'll equate that to. So my dad played rugby
Okay, yeah.
professionally when
Okay.
he lived in Hong Kong, and
Awesome.
so and he tells this funny story. Back in the 70s, if you wanted to watch an NFL game, you'd have to wait for the VHS to come over, and so the
Really?
Super Bowl would come over on a VHS on a plane. Someone would bring it over.
Like a few days later.
Yeah, you wouldn't watch anything. Don't look at the news. Don't read a newspaper. And then people would get into a room,
No
sit down,
kidding.
and watch the Super Bowl all together. Yeah,
I love that.
And so he loved NFL because it was a little bit like it was a contact sport.
Yeah.
And so when I moved to the USA, he would come over and he would be like, "I want to come over when it's NFL time, when it's
Yeah.
like
I love
football
that.
football season." So we would go and we would watch football, and we still do every now and again. But that was when I was probably I was probably drinking a lot more than I do
Who's your
today.
team?
So, so
I mean, New York and Chicago.
yeah, that's the problem. And they were the Giants were doing really well when I lived there.
Yep.
Between 2006 and 2018.
Yeah, you guys were beating Tom Brady.
They were, yeah, and then it all went south. But the Jets were the best to
The
watch.
best time.
Like, they were the tailgating and the game itself. And then I went to a Bears game. It's a really cool stadium though that they have.
Yeah.
I think they're moving it and doing some things with it, but that was great. And then I went to school in Tampa, so I also went to the Bucks and
So then
watched
you
them
got
as well.
Tom
So
Brady.
yeah. Actually, I don't know if he was playing that. I
Yeah.
don't know if it was when he was still there, but. So yeah, I hate to say it, but I don't really have a team. But
I like that answer though. That's a
Yeah.
wherever I go,
Yeah.
I support whoever's
You embrace
there.
that team.
At least it's not the Bears. That's all that matters.
Matt's from Wisconsin, so he's a
Oh yeah,
Packers fan.
there's a big rivalry
Yeah.
there. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And I'm from Knoxville, so pro football doesn't necessarily really matter. It's college football here
Right.
that really matters. Like,
Again, I didn't do undergrad here,
Yeah.
so I didn't really get that experience.
Yeah.
Actually, I'll tell you a good funny story. So I did go to a college game when I was at USF. In USF,
Yeah.
actually, they play in the
Is that where you went?
the
USF?
Bucks Stadium. Yeah,
In
yeah,
Tampa?
I did
Okay.
an MBA there. So anyway, I'm in the stadium and I'm like, hey guys, all the NBA guys, we're all in our 40s, right? So
Yeah.
they're all in the upstairs in the box or whatever. I said, I want to go down with everybody else. So I went down there. I sort of grabbed a seat, started drinking, and someone literally said to me, whose mom are you? I don't have a child here. But I was like, okay, it's the
Leave
college
me alone.
football. I'm
Yeah.
too old for the
Yeah.
college football at this point. So yeah, they thought I was someone's mom.
USF is building a new football stadium.
Yeah,
by
they
the
are.
way.
Yes, correct. Yeah.
We looked at that school for our daughter for soccer, but I don't think she wants to go there.
It's a great school. I like
I
it.
hear it's-
I really
I hear good
enjoy
things
it.
about
Yeah, it's
it.
a nice campus too. Really nice.
If there was one place in the world, your top favorite place, where would that be to visit?
To go like on a vacation.
Yeah.
yeah, or
Vacation.
dream destination that you've not been.
There's something about going to a place that is completely different from anything you know. I really appreciate it when I go somewhere and it's just the complete opposite of what you are used to.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say I did spend a month in Indonesia in 2018, which was phenomenal. I went with a family. One of them was Indonesian, so they were all showing us around, and we got like a really good look into the country. So I didn't go there like a tourist. I actually went there like
That's cool.
Yeah, and I went to a wedding, and it was one of my favorite trips. So I would say and I think it's good for people too. I think you need to get out of your comfort zone sometimes
for
and
sure.
go to places where it's totally different and you feel really out of place. But once you kind of get to know the people and you get to know the culture, I
Yeah.
think you can really enjoy it. So Asia would probably be it.
Someplace different in Asia that you haven't been to?
Yeah, there's quite a few places I haven't been to. I haven't been to the Philippines. I'd like to go there. And I scuba dive, so I like scuba diving. There's a lot of scuba diving down there. So
Awesome.
Have you ever been to Arkansas?
I have. Walmart,
That's like a running joke.
Walmart were my client. I went to Bentonville many times.
okay.
But,
Yeah.
Home of
quite
Walmart?
a few years
Yeah.
ago.
Yeah, home of Walmart. Yeah.
They've got a huge
Yeah.
headquarters over there. So
Yeah.
that's about it that's there actually.
That's yeah. Not that you drove here, but you said you drive when you're in Naples. So dream car.
It's a bit of a running joke. I don't drive a very nice car, but I'm more of
Says
a
a lot about
appreciating
you.
asset person than a depreciating
I
asset
love it.
There
person.
you go.
Yeah.
But a dream car would be convertible, anything really, but maybe Mercedes or something like that.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So not an American car.
Oh, I mean, yeah, it can be.
can
I
be,
don't have
okay.
a problem with that.
Okay.
Yeah. No, I actually I do have a Ford. So I
Okay.
have a Ford Fiesta.
Yeah.
And so.
Yeah.
Favorite night out,
Mm-hmm.
restaurant meal. Are you going steak, seafood, Italian,
Steak.
steakhouse?
What?
Yep.
What
Okay.
cut?
Oh, ribeye.
Cooked? How?
Rare.
I love it.
I changed my diet over a year ago, thanks to a friend of mine who kind of guided me and said, hey, why are you eating this? And it's probably not making you feel that great. And I've always been very active. I've always done a lot of long distance racing, and I think I told you guys I did Ironman a couple of times. And so I had always just eaten everything I wanted to eat, and then it got to a point where I didn't feel very good, and so I cut out pretty much heavy carbs like rice and pasta and things like that, and I just went all meat diet, and I love it. I think
I did something
great.
similar in the last 4 months, and I feel amazing as well. I still eat a little white rice, but no heavy carbs.
I'm not like I never
rice
touch it.
is okay for you, but
yeah, exactly.
But yeah, you feel so much better with eating mostly meat and red meat at that.
A lot
Chicken
of
and
that's I think protein, more protein, all the proteins, fish, chicken, red meat. It's not bad for you, contrary to what we've been told for.
I think you just got to eat real food, right? Like if it's real food, it's probably okay, right? I think if it's not, that's what you should try and avoid. But.
That's right.
Yeah.
So you're driving down the interstate in your new convertible
Oh God.
On a road trip.
on a road trip, and you got to stop off at Buc-ee's.
Have you been to
I
you
have
gotta
been
use-
to Buc-ee's.
Okay.
You got to use the restroom. You got to pick up some snacks. What snacks are you grabbing and bringing with you on the road trip?
Well, I stumbled across a Buc-ee's. I didn't know what Buc-ee's was.
And then you were like, what is this?
It's like, I walked in, I thought maybe it was a warehouse or something. And it turns out it's just a huge...
Looks like a Walmart, right?
Yeah, it's
some-
huge.
yes.
And lots of sort of like tchotchkes and little random things you'd never buy.
Yes.
It's an odd place, yeah. The bathrooms are very nice. I mean, it's really nice. It's very clean. I thought
It's
it was
the
great.
cleanest public restaurant I think I've ever been in.
No, it's
Yeah,
very,
it's
very
fantastic.
nice.
Yeah.
Very nice. So what am I buying? I'm on the road.
Your snacks.
Yeah.
You got to get you some
Are
snacks.
you-
Energy drink.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I
Which
gotta
one?
say, because they don't have the steak, the ribeye rare, medium rare. there for
Probably
you.
not.
No, they got beef
They got
jerky. though.
they got brisket, but
They got lots
Do
of
they
beef
cook?
jerky.
Do they have cooked food as well?
Yeah.
I'll probably do the burger without the bun.
okay.
Yeah.
A couple of burgers
Okay.
without the bun.
Couple of burgers without the one.
probably.
What energy drink are you getting?
Oof. I drink either Alani's or Celsius.
Okay.
Yeah, not too many.
Man, I
but
tried
every
the
so often
Alani's
you
and
need
they
them.
just like, I don't know. They,
Oh, yeah,
it's too
some
much
aren't good.
caffeine almost.
They're very
I
sweet.
think that's in your brain because you drink coffee like all
But
day.
coffee doesn't have as much caffeine as Alani's, though.
I don't know.
I don't know. I just
Just one shot. Emma, I have a 16-year-old daughter, and she likes the Alani's. I think the marketing at the company of Alani is targeting
kids.
young females.
Oh, really?
Are they
Yeah.
really?
Yeah, look at their cans.
That makes me feel good. I'm a
Their,
young female.
their cans are so pretty.
Yeah.
Like
they
if you
are.
look at their cans, and
Probably
like-
target them on Instagram.
yeah, and like if you look at their social, it's very
It's very girly. Yeah. It's
Yeah.
a good point. Everything's pink and green.
yeah pink, green.
Yeah.
Like their names on their cans are pretty. So I mean,
Cherry slush, I think one is called. Yeah, that sounds very girly.
yeah. So
Well, Naomi, thanks again for coming on with us.
for
This
sure.
was
You're welcome.
episode 1 of season 2, by the way.
Fantastic.
So
first
you're our
one.
first guest for this season.
Amazing. Thank you.
Everybody that's watching, please follow us, like, comment, let us know what you'd like to see next, and
Yeah.
follow Naomi. I'm assuming you're on socials; they can find you.
Do you have
All
any
that good stuff.
social you want to plug?
Probably my LinkedIn. You
LinkedIn?
can find me on LinkedIn.
Go to LinkedIn.
Yeah.
You can stare really awkwardly into that camera over there if you want to, like I'm doing.
That one.
Yeah. Thank you,
Awesome.
Naomi.
Thank you. This
You're
fun.
welcome,
You've been a
guys.
great
Thank
guest.
you so much.
Yeah.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.